So you want to make bread. This is everything you need to make bread. Out of all the things that you absolutely need, you probably get away with just using, well, just this stuff if you want to make bread. But unfortunately, you gotta have a scale. The scales, you just gotta have them. You gotta have scales. You gotta be able to measure your ingredients by weight. In fact, I love doing this so much now that I try to adapt all my recipes into weight, because it's too damn accurate and it's so much harder to screw up. This is one that's Amazon. It's the XOX or Ox brand. Really nice, really accurate. But this one's a little different. Depending on your recipe size, you can get into small amounts of yeast and salt. That's where this is better. It's zeroed out. I'm just jamming my hand in here, whatever. I forgot to get a spoon. 1.3. So this is that same amount of salt. Now I'm just playing, and now I'm experimenting. It's a gram, bitch. A spoon is what I should have been using. Don't just jam your hand in here. That's some kind of caveman shit. You shouldn't be doing that. Other things you'll need are a bowl, you need your salt, you need your yeast. You got flour, water from the tap, Bob's Red Mill rice flour. I put it in here to be able to use it a little easier. Something to pour water into. It could be anything. That's the other beauty of using a scale. You don't need lots of little teaspoons. You're just dumping what you have into a bigger container, and the scale tells you. I also have a thermal pen. Thermal pens are pretty cheap on Amazon. They're very, very useful. Also, another helpful thing, not necessary, it's just a little plastic bench scraper. A proofing basket, not 100% needed. You can improvise this, and I'll show you more about that a little later. Forgot to mention yeast, right? So specifically, you gotta get instant quick rise yeast. So I guess I'm gonna use my super accurate scale. Let's see here. Oh yeah, booyah! So we'll zero it out. I use King Arthur pretty exclusively. It just has to be bread flour, in my opinion. You could probably even get away with doing all-purpose. I just like bread flour, more protein, more gluten, better tasting bread. I mean, obviously, if you have all-purpose flour versus bread flour, and you're making bread, it would just assume, logic would dictate. Blech. So most people have a recipe written down. For bread, it's just 4 things. It's, flour, water, salt, yeast. So I just have a Post-it note. Flour, salt, water, yeast. That's it, right? I just know my amounts. I'm gonna mix them up. And this particular one makes like a decent loaf. Not too big, not too little. This is kind of adapted from a different recipe that I had, using about 100 grams more flour. But, you can take off 1/5 of the flour and reduce all the other portions with the same formula and just do everything else the same. Except for cooking time. Gotta cook it less. One thing I do a little goofy, just because I like a little wheat. I feel like it gives the bread like just a little bit of extra subtle flavor. So just throw like a little handful of wheat flour in there. I don't know, man. I just do what I like. We're gonna finish this off to 400 grams now. Whoop. 405, we'll call it. I forgot to mention salt. The reason I have it in here is because it's just normal sea salt. I had it in a different kind of container, but it's easier to get it out of here because a lot of containers come with that little pour spout, and it's not easy measuring out specific amounts from those containers. But it's sea salt. There's no iodine. Iodine, if I remember right, can do stuff to the yeast. We don't want iodine in the bread.
Where's my spoon, bitch? I lost my spoon.
All right, spoon. Civilized measurements. If you remember, it was 8.8, 8.9, good enough. And then we're doing some yeast, about 0.4. Ooh. Oh yeah. Maybe just a little more for fun. I think I need to get new scales. These suck. This is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. Jesus Christ. Yeast is back in the fridge. Salt's back in the pantry. Put this stupid thing away. Flour, salt, yeast. I got a lot of time on my hands. Nothing really better to do. Alright, so now we need water. Grab your device. I know that this thing holds more water than I need. We need to measure temperature though. If it's too hot, you'll kill the yeast. If anything, you're better off it on the cold side. So with your thermal pen, oh shit, too hot. Trying to hit 90, 95 degrees. So that's good right there. 95 degrees, perfect. Whatever comes out of the tap, it usually loses some heat anyway in whatever container you put it in. I don't know, man. It's just bread. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Boop. Oh man, I forgot about something. This is a wooden spoon. This wooden spoon is actually very helpful, and it doesn't have to be this big. It's not the size of the spoon, it's more how you use it. Using the handle of a wooden spoon to do this initial mix works really well, and you don't get dough and crap everywhere. 316 grams. Fuck. Oh, goddamn. So, usually when I'm done with the scale, I put it away because it takes up a lot of fucking counter space. Alright, and so this is where the handy spoon comes into play. Not using our hands, everything with the handle of the spoon. Think about all the stupid things you've done in your life and everything that led up to this point. How big of a disappointment you are to your parents. How you could do better at your job. Hands are clean, dough's mixed. To keep it even cleaner, we can use a bench scraper. Oh yeah. Really helps kind of contain the sticky dough mess. And it is sticky right now, super sticky. Scrape down, get it all together. Now it sits 30 minutes. Oh shit! 30 minutes. A lot can happen in 30 minutes. It's had some time to rest, get happy, get bubbly. So I'm gonna just turn my water on and just get my hand wet. Just not crazy wet, gotta have a wet hand. So now we're just gonna start folding the dough. So as you can see, the dough is not nearly as sticky as it was before. 30 minutes does a lot. It's already starting to develop its gluten, and what we're doing is just help promote that development. Just, you know, slapping the dough around. I'm just gonna keep doing this until you kind of feel it start to tighten up. Doesn't take too much. Alright. It sits for 30 more minutes. 30 minutes has elapsed. Ooh, look at that. Wet hand. And just continue. Continue the folding, the stretching. Stretch and fold? Gluten development. Now it's actually getting nice and tight. You can see even from like the top already, it's all nice and tight. And like I said, it doesn't take much. You just gotta slap it around a little. Slap it around. 30 more minutes. Oh, 30 minutes. And another 30 minutes goes by. Once again, wet hands. They call me Tommy Wet Hands. Yeah, that's it. I mean, look, it's look at all that gluten. Look at that gluten. Damn, man. Oh, it broke. Needs more gluten. Way more gluten. As you can see, I'm kind of keeping it in the bowl, and I just kind of pick it up and kind of do like a little back and forth motion. I don't know. A lot of people can develop their own maneuvers, their own style. You can do whatever you want. Window pane test is to see if you've developed enough gluten. I don't think I have. I believe we just did our third stretch and fold and slap around to get all that gluten going. Usually I'd leave it, but I think I'm gonna do one more 30-minute run. Try to get a little more gluten going. So, one more. I mean, I got nothing better to do. Once again, water. Hand gets wet. Slap some water around. Then we slap some bread around. Oh yeah, look at that. Booyah. Pick it up, flip it. Pick it up and flip it, you know? You get your bread, you get bread, man. Bread. This is bread. Now it's the long proof. Now we're gonna let it sit for 8 hours or more or less, or I don't know. Fuck, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna wake up and then I'm gonna finish it. I think I'm gonna try to put some cellophane over this. And then I think I'm gonna try a little time lapse. Because apparently I paid for something that does that. So let's fucking do it. So then, since a time lapse is in order, something clear to see through would be the most logical solution. Yeah, buddy. All right. New day. So we'll go over the rest of what we need to finish this. So to give you a quick rundown, we have to form and shape the loaf, put it in our little basket, and then we put the basket into a plastic bag, and then that all goes in the refrigerator for a minimum of like 2 hours, because we want to cool down the loaf of bread. Since the dough is colder, it firms up a bit. Because the dough is firm, it holds its shape better when you initially put it in the oven, and it doesn't just go bloop. These baskets come in different shapes. This is another typical one that I use. I think it's 9 or 10 inches. I believe they're called batons, and they have these little cloths that help kind of separate the dough from the baton. You don't actually need to use these. If you were to just use this, you could actually kind of get this shape in your dough, and people dig that. These are pretty cheap, but they're not necessary. The real key to it is this. This is really a game changer when you want to let your bread proof for a long time, whether it's in the fridge or even on the counter. Because rice flour, this is the barrier you need so your dough doesn't stick to whatever it's touching, which is key. And the best way for this is you take a little sieve, and what we want to do is just put a nice little layer. And I usually do this over the sink. You see I'm just tapping, because sometimes this stuff can get away from you. So I'm just doing a nice slow tap, just tapping, just tap it in. Just trying to get a nice even coat. That's it. So you're telling me, hey Tom, I don't got one of these stupid little baskets. And I'm like, that's cool, bro. Don't worry about it. I got you. Oh. Don't let it go to waste. Any size, shape, bowl still works. Obviously, rice flour won't stick to a bowl. The next best thing are these. These are like a kitchen essential. These are typically called, I think, flour sack towels. If you don't have them, you should get them, put them in your kitchen. They're great. So what you can do is, same situation, whatever bowl you want, just put your flour sack towel in there. Actually, you probably want to fold it up a little. As long as you have a nice layer of rice flour between your dough and your cloth, you're good. So now we're gonna form and shape the dough. That's where this is actually very, very helpful. These are super cheap on Amazon. Just a plastic bench scraper. So first of all, we need a little flour. Got to work with some dough, so cut down on some stickiness. Use a little flour. Get out our little thingy here, and once again, we're just tapping. We're just gonna, ooh, ooh, oh shit. I just like to put a little on top. Put a little on our working surface, and we can form and shape. So once again, really good for removing the dough from the bowl. Super sticky right now, so you know, trying to avoid some major contact with the dough. So I'm kind of just using my fingertips. Ooh, it does feel pretty proofed, but I think we're gonna be all right. I know people get into this where they kind of form and shape their loaves. I'm not a pro. I just want to get it, you know, into a general shape of whatever basket. Because I find that no matter how I shape it now, it always seems to kind of just take the form of whatever I put it in. This is where the bench scraper comes in, because we want to like just tighten it up. We're kind of just like pushing and trying to create. Basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of pushing it and I'm creating tension across the top surface. But you can tell just by a little bit that I did there, it's already kind of tightening up and the top's getting good, and you can see like little bubbles between the dough, which are nice. So, you know, I'm just kind of sweeping and kind of tucking, sweeping and tucking. And then I can, once I do that a few times, now I'm going to try to maybe shape it in a little better, more like a loaf, just kind of being gentle with it. Because you can tell, even just touching it, you can tell the surface is glossy. And it, like looking at it, it's got more tension, it's holding together way better. Good stuff. So I'll just leave it there for now. I don't want to play with it too much. And then we just plop it right in. Boop. So now we want to throw it in a plastic bag, just Ziploc. What is this? 2-gallon freezer bag. Zip it up. This goes in the fridge. A minimum of 2 hours, the longer the better. When you do a cold proof in the refrigerator for a long period of time, really helps the flavor. So it'll sit in the fridge for about 8 hours roughly. The fuck am I gonna do for the next 8 hours? Dutch oven in the oven already to start. We're about ready to throw bread in the oven. Oven has been warming up at 475 degrees for about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. The idea of that is you have cast iron in there. You have a cast iron Dutch oven, right? Something else that I totally forgot to mention that you totally need, otherwise it'll never work. Gotta have a Dutch oven. There are various brands, but the whole key to being able to make this bread is the Dutch oven, because you take the dough and you drop it in there and you create a very closed off environment where a lot of that moisture can live. If you're making bread commercially, you have an oven that injects water into it while you're baking. Water is key. Super hot, super moist environment. That's why you need the Dutch oven. The other thing we got here is a bread lamb. You gotta have a razor, or even a sharp knife will work. When you score the bread, it actually helps the rise. So this has been sitting in the refrigerator for a while now, probably about 8 hours. What we're gonna do is we're gonna throw this in the Dutch oven. My Dutch oven that I have has 2 halves. A lot of other Dutch ovens have a deep base and then just a lid. You can still use that. You gotta drop the dough in it, and then it's just kind of a little harder to score. I like to score it after it's in the Dutch oven. I could score it now and then put it in, but it kind of smushes the score back together. So now I'm going to grab the Dutch oven, put the bread in, score it, throw it back in, and not burn myself. Holy shit! That's hot. Really simple. We just take the bread, plop it in. Nice quick movement to score it. Gloves back on. Top on. Back in the oven for 30 minutes. Oh shit! It's time! So that was 30 minutes in the oven, Dutch oven, top on. All we're doing now is we're gonna take the top off, put it back in the oven, rotated, and then another 12 minutes. A little preview! Oh yeah, baby! Look at that! Pop it back in. It's just bread, I don't give a fuck. I have a cooling rack. There we go! Look at this beast. Perfect. But yeah, bread, we're done. So you should let it cool 20 minutes at least before you cut into it. A lot of people think put bread in the refrigerator because it's just flour, water, salt, yeast, right? There's no preservatives. This bread specifically, it goes bad quick, and actually if you put it in the refrigerator, it goes bad even quicker. I just wrap the whole thing in cellophane, leave it on the counter. And if you're gonna start getting into this, you gotta make sure you have a really good bread knife. This one's a pretty decent one, got off Amazon. So that's it, that's all I got. Be sure to like and subscribe and thumbs up and comment the video. Or don't, I don't give a fuck, it's just bread. I don't know, man. You don't have to do shit. I was snacking on some of the fresh bread here, and I forgot about the cross-section money shot. I don't know, man. It's just fucking bread.